I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the Board Secretary on March 18, 2025 in the following manner. Posted notice on the school bulletin board at the Administration Building, transmitted to the Courier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, and the Clerk of Cherry Hill Township. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Sugars, please call the roll.
Dr. Braddock,
Here.
Mrs. Sherfain, Dr. Dreisen,
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Greenbaum,
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Ms. Palmer,
Here.
Ms. Stern,
Here.
Mrs. Winters.
Here. Thank you. We have no board recognition tonight. We have no presentations tonight. We have no administrative reports tonight. We do have correspondence. So I am going to start on this side of the table with Dr. Dreisen, and we're going to go around and do our correspondence for the evening.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Winters. Ms. Winters, Ms. Stern, and I had the pleasure of attending the Wizard of Oz performance at Rosa. I had hoped my daughter would attend, but we watched the movie the night before and she got scared of the tornado. But it was really a terrific performance. So I'm really grateful. Special shout out to Munchkin #1. Yeah, so that was great. Also, just in terms of correspondence, had an opportunity on the 13th and 18th of March to attend 2 NJSBA webinars in terms of tracking towards member certification following in Ms. Gallagher's footsteps.
Mr. Mayor,
None to report.
Ms. Gallagher.
As a side note, I did just receive a certificate suitable for framing from NJSBA. So the only thing I have is, I forget what day it was. It was 2 weeks ago, the Wednesday, whatever. I went to the 8th grade dialogue, Camden County. It was held at Pennsauken High School. And it was every middle school had the opportunity of having a student represent their school. Obviously not every school was able to have somebody there that night, but there was probably a good 20-ish students. It was kind of like a round table, very similar to like our candidate forum where a question was presented and then each student had, a minute or so to respond. And so interestingly, and I don't want to take up too much time, but since our agenda is slightly limited, a couple of the topics were like, what would you do if you were a principal for the day? Their use and how they feel like AI should be used in the classroom, cell phones. They were very split on whether cell phones should be allowed or not allowed. But interestingly, and it kind of points back to what Ms. Stern has said multiple times, is the amount of students who said that they need recess. At least 4 or more students said that they need a break during the day, they need recess. And I thought it was interesting as we've been going through the middle school change or, potential with the budget. And, I know that was a comment last year with the, I think it was last year when we redid the schedule. That middle school is the only grade that doesn't have a break in their schedule. I think that's correct, right? And so many students voiced the desire to have that. So, and as I said, everything else was pretty mixed about like AI use of cell phones. Some said no, some said yes. It was very interesting to hear how, young students some were very self-aware of how detrimental cell phones can be, but some are like, we have to learn to live with it. Same with AI. So it was a very fun night and it was very insightful. So thank you.
Thank you. I went to the Assembly budget hearing today in Trenton. I was accompanied by Ms. Palmer and Mr. Greenbaum. I spoke and gave testimony on behalf of the board, on behalf of the district. It was, I think, very well received by the Assembly committee. I spoke on, they called us up as a panel. It was myself, Mr. Greenbaum came up with me, Zone PTA, and CHEA also spoke on behalf of Cherry Hill. And I thought the testimony was great because it was all from our different perspectives, myself, and then from the parent perspective from PTA and the teaching staff perspective from CHEA, but we all touched on similar themes. So I thought it was a nice representation for Cherry Hill. The Assembly Committee definitely listened attentively, and we'll see what happens next. If anybody wants to see the testimony that I presented, it's on the district website. I know the meeting was live streamed. I believe it's also going to be available. On the recorded version will be available. I spoke about 2.5 hours in, if anybody really wants to go look at me on camera. But that's available. But I mean, it really was an honor to speak on behalf of our district to the assembly about the challenges we face going forward with state funding. And I hope they heard us because we're going to need some help going forward. Right, Mr. Greenbaum.
Thank you. I'll piggyback on that very briefly. Just thank you very much to Zone PTA and to the Fair Funding Committee for their efforts in getting people to reach out, submit written testimony. We had a limited number of slots, so I was one of the people that submitted my testimony in writing. I know quite a few other community members did as well. And I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you. From what I've heard, they do read them, they do take it to heart, and hopefully it makes a difference. Besides that, I don't think we've met since the Harlem Wizards game, have we? Okay, well, it was, I don't think we have. It was great to join fellow board members. I think we had 7 out of 9 of us were able to attend, most of us with our families. It was a very fun event. And a big thank you to the Cherry Hill Educational Foundation for organizing the event and for their continued efforts to fundraise on behalf of our students.
Thank you. Ms. Stern.
As part of correspondence, I just really want to thank both of you, Mrs. Winters, Mr. Greenbaum, for attending the hearing today. You know, having done them many years in a row, I actually missed it this year. You know, for you two to take that much time out of your day, work day, and Ms. Palmer, I'm sorry, Mrs. Palmer too, the 3 of you to attend and, you know, go up to Trenton and testify on behalf of all of us. I just really want to thank you. And again, Zone PTA. CHEA, you know, I think there was just it's a great unified showing again this year. And, you know, it makes a difference. So thank you. As far as my correspondence, I was able to attend Parent University last Tuesday. And that was put on under Mrs. Carter's guidance, direction and leadership. There were a number, I didn't have a lot of time there, so I just had a chance to get around to some of the tables, but not attend any of the events, the speakers. But we had a lot of community providers who were there. We had a large showing from our own guidance department and some of our, you know, our own staff, and which is an evening event. So that was really, I really appreciated the staff that were involved. Putting it together, putting it on, and also attending. And it's an opportunity to provide resources to parents and the community members, and it was held at the Cherry Hill Library. And then I believe it was Thursday night, I got a chance to go to the Family Fun Night, sponsored by Cherry Hill Special Education PTA. It was held over at Payne, Thomas Payne. And it was a really great event. What I did not realize, it was the first time that they've had that since COVID. And I saw, it was really, really nice. I saw a lot of friendly faces, familiar faces who I, you know, don't always get a chance to see or interact with or talk to. Of course, I overstayed my welcome, which I always do. People know I'm famous for that. And just had a, you know, chance to really see so many kids of all ages. So we had like real little kids, early elementary, all the way up through high school kids. And there were a number of high school kids who were volunteering that night, including some of our high school children who themselves receive special ed services. So, you know, talk about seeing their growth and their progress and their ability to give back. And, you know, I saw some families I don't know and I've never seen, you know, well attended, and there was a sensory room, a movie room, there were games, there was a fire truck there, snacks. It was really, I didn't even get around to every room. So it was great. And I just really want to thank Mrs. Gleason and Payne for hosting it. Obviously, the Cherry Hill Special Education PTA for sponsoring it. And also, just all the people involved. It was a great night. So hopefully continue every year.
Thank you, and thanks for attending those. Dr. Braddock
No correspondence.
and Ms. Palmer.
Yep. So I do, again, kudos to Mrs. Winters, Mr. Greenbaum for representing our district. It is noteworthy. Absolutely, the budget committee was engaged. I thought it was nice to hear the committee chairwoman, Assemblywoman Pinner Marin, when our panel was done, she said, I know that Cherry Hill has been here before. I'm sorry that you're here again. So that was a nice level of recognition. On that note, I do want to remind members of the community that the fair funding for Cherry Hill Group will meet again. Its March meeting is this coming Thursday, the 27th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Go to their Facebook page. Again, it's fair funding for Cherry Hill Public Schools. For the Zoom link, some tools, some advocacy tools. As somebody that does that in my day job, those calls, those emails do matter. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But, as much as we as board members and at the district level make our voices heard, the voices of our community members and our parents matter 100 times more. So please, consider attending the meeting and taking advantage of those resources.
Thank you so much. All right, we are moving on to our student reps. I think so too, and I was hesitating to say that, but I think this time we're going to go High School East first. So take it away, High School East.
All right, thank you. So to start off, for academics, East juniors completed the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, or NJGPA testing, from March 11 to 14. For activities from March 4th to 6th, 167 East students participated in the DECA States competition at Atlantic City. 62 East students will be advancing to the International DECA competition hosted in Orlando, Florida from April 26 to 29. Business teacher Mr. Greg DeWolf was also named a DECA Hall of Famer due to his 18 years of dedication in serving the Cherry Hill East DECA chapter and New Jersey DECA. Junior Noah Peitzer also won the election for New Jersey DECA Recording Secretary, which is a statewide office. Congratulations to all the students and advisors for their great success at DECA States.
In addition, the Muslim Student Association hosted their Iftar Ramadan celebration on March 11th at East from 6:45 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Much of the senior class had a wonderful time in Disney World and Universal during the senior class trip. From March 13th to 17th. Special thanks to all the faculty and staff who helped make that possible. Mr. East competition between 8 senior high school boys will take place on April 4th. This will be a guaranteed night of fun, so we encourage all to come. Tickets for the junior prom will be on sale from March 28th to April 4th. Junior prom is on April 24th from 6 to 10 p.m. East Annual Multicultural Day, or MCD as it's known around East, is rapidly approaching. MCD Parent Night is on April 10th at 7 p.m. and is open to the public, and students will get to experience all the MCD performances and booths during the school day on April 11th.
Yes. For athletics, the boys basketball team advanced to the sectional final, but ultimately lost by 1 point to Lenape on March 15. Congrats to the team and Coach Allen for an outstanding season played. Junior Gianna Lopez placed 3rd place in the NJSIAA Girls Wrestling State Champions. Congrats to her. Spring sports athletes have also been practicing throughout the March, and the season has just begun.
And last but not least, the performing and visual arts have been very successful. East Thespian Society Troop 213 performed the musical Mary Poppins beginning on February 28th. And on March 1st, 2nd, 7th, 8th, and 9th, Congratulations to all of the theater department for putting together such an amazing show. East will host a coffee house on the 26th, which will be raising money for Go for the Goal. This night will be full of a variety of auditioned acts, historically ranging from stand-up comedy to martial arts, and even music performances, all of the kind, many different performances. And we encourage all community members to come. Admissions is $10, and it will go towards the mission of helping kids with cancer achieve their goals. So thank you.
Moving on to high school west.
Okay, for academics, we had NJ GPA testing took place during March. We are also coming to the end of the third marking period within the next 2 weeks. So get in all that missing work and keep those grades up. That's it for academics. In athletics, we have all spring sports are starting and are underway. Girls basketball also won the Group 3 state title at Rutgers for the first time in West history. Go Lions. We are so proud of you girls. Girls softball are also for the first time traveling and competing in Florida in a competition this coming weekend. Flag football also started their season today. West is also hosting the Positive Coaching Alliance next month as well. In the art section, we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory opening on Friday, and we'll also be hosting a senior matinee as well, which is really popular with the community. Jazz band also earned a silver rating in a recent competition. Indoor marching band won second place at a competition, and that is all for arts. In extracurricular, we have the African American Culture Club and Junior ROTC are going to be going to DC on April 4th to go to the Smithsonian Museum of African American Culture. We also have the Night of Stars coming up, where we will be recognizing outstanding West students. This happens every year. I was actually honored 2 years ago. It's a very wonderful ceremony for our students. Multicultural Day is also coming up. Students of all cultures are preparing their performances, songs, and the West school community and the community are very much looking forward to it, and it will be open to the public on April 10th. We are also having an unsung hero reception where our 10th grade, I believe it's our 10th grade or 11th grade students write a letter to one of their unsung heroes, and then they invite them to a reception and read it to their unsung heroes, and it's a nice breakfast as well. Senior trip also took place this past week, and our seniors had a lot of fun. And we also want to thank our chaperones who took time to make sure everybody was safe and had a great time. And students will also have off this Friday for an in-service as well as Monday for the Eid. So happy Eid to everybody who celebrates, and those that don't celebrate, have a nice day off.
Thank you, Jenna. Okay, we're moving on to first public comment. There will be 2 opportunities for public comment this evening. The first public comment section is for board action items only, which are items 13 through 16. There will be another public comment section for any topic at the end of the meeting. If you are a student in the district, you may comment on any agenda item during this first public comment period. Please identify yourself as a student. If you would like to speak, please identify the agenda item and clearly state your name and municipality. We will alternate between speakers here in the room and those that are online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, and the time on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to comment on matters relevant to the operations of Cherry Hill Public School District or within the authority of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. The board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. Under established federal law governing reasonable restrictions on speech in public forums, statements which demean individual community members or groups, or which are irrelevant to the operations of the school district or repetitious will not be permitted. Community members who would like to present information not relevant to the school district are always welcome to communicate directly to the district superintendent, board president, and all board members via email or other alternative means. All right, we are going to open first public comment. We start in the room by custom. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak on an action item tonight? Please approach the microphone. action items are the ones listed on the agenda, so it's something that we're voting on tonight. There is a second public comment period at the end for any topic. Did that answer the question? Excellent. I know it's very, very confusing, so hang in there with us. I see no one in the room approaching the microphone on an action item. I'm looking online. I don't see anyone with their hand raised for first public comment. Going back to the room, one more shot. Online, I don't see anyone for first public comment, so I'm going to close first public comment period. Moving on to superintendent's comments. Dr. Morton, do you have any comments for us from Pittsburgh?
Yes, actually, I do have a few comments, Ms. Winters. Really just to repeat and echo what has been stated already, but I'll be remiss if I didn't share that as well. I just wanted to say thank you, Ms. Winters and other members of the board who attended the assembly hearing today. Thank you to Ms. Cummings and Mr. Redfern as well for providing outstanding testimony. Ms. Winters, you summarized our position beautifully and extremely well. Your statement was accurate and head on. So thank you for sharing those words and letting the Cherry Hill story be told. Again, just to echo what Jenna shared, kudos to the Cherry Hill West High School West girls basketball team, the Group 3 state champions. I had an opportunity to go over to the school and participate in a building-wide parade that they had for the girls following that victory. And just to see how far their programs come has been truly amazing. Kudos to Dan Butler, their coach, who was also Coach of the Year this year, named by the Courier Post. Kudos to Dave Allen as well, high school East boys basketball coach. He was named Coach of the Year also, in addition to Miss Anita Bowser, who was Coach of the Year for the high school East girls swim team and the wonderful job that that she continues to do year after year. So many positive things that are happening within our athletics program. I'd be remiss also if I didn't mention a wonderful event that we had on March 18th, partnering with the Cherry Hill Library. We had a parent university. We had many community partners and vendors come out and share wellness type of messages for those in attendance. It was wonderful for me to see the representation of our community and to see, so many people who truly make Cherry Hill into the place that it is and such a nurturing place for our children. So thank you for your partnership. Thank you to the library as well for, serving as host for us. Again, I know Ms. Stern mentioned it, but I have to mention as well, Family Fun Night occurred last Thursday at Thomas Paine Elementary School. Kudos to Ms. Gleason and to the members of CHSEPTA who put that together. Truly a phenomenal night, phenomenal evening, and another reminder of just the wonderful community that Cherry Hill is. Everybody has a place in our community. Everyone has a sense of belonging, and it truly was like a family type of atmosphere and environment. So kudos to all involved that help to make that a reality. And then again, just to echo the days that we're closed. So we will be closed on this Friday, March 28th. Students will not be in service, but our teachers will be in district for teacher in service. And again, Monday, March 31st is Eid al-Fitr. Again, I'm just want to say kudos to everyone taking part in Ramadan. The Eid holiday itself will mark the end of Ramadan. Just wish everyone, much unity, gratitude, and happiness as you celebrate the end of Ramadan. With that, I will close my comments.
Thank you so much. And we're moving on to our action agenda. I will move the CNI agenda. Superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 13.1, approval of attendance at conference and workshops for the 24-25 school year. And 13.2, resolution for the award of settlement agreements. Do I have a second? Ms. Palmer, are there any questions? Seeing no questions on the CNI agenda tonight, Ms. Sugars, please open the voting.
Board members, you may cast your votes. We have a unanimous yes vote.
Thank you. Mr. Greenbaum, please move the BNF agenda.
Superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 14.1, approval of minutes, board working session and special action meeting minutes and executive session minutes dated February 11th, 2025. 14.2, approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes and executive session minutes dated February 25th, 2025. 14.3, financial reports. 14.4, resolution for the award of transportation. 14.5, acceptance of donations. And I always like to read through these on our action agenda. We have a donation from the McIlvain family in memory of Sarah McIlvain, who is from High School West class of 97 for photography equipment to be used in the photography classes at High School West. Thank you, and may your memory be a blessing. A donation from West Theater Boosters to be used to support the theater program at High School West, and a donation from Jody Reinhardt to be used for students unable to pay for prom tickets at High School East. And do I have a second? Dr. Braddock, any questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars, please open the voting.
Board members, you may cast your votes.
Mrs. Sugars, on 14.3, I have to recuse myself from the 6th bill list due to a conflict of interest with Beata Home Healthcare.
And Mrs. Sugars, on 14.3, I am abstaining from the payments to Bancroft on bill list number 6 due to a conflict.
Mrs. Sugars, also on item 14.3, I have to recuse myself from the invoice to ESS.
And last but not least, Mrs. Sugars, on 14.3, I'm going to recuse myself from Jewish Federation on the bill list, 6th bill list, to avoid a conflict of interest.
Okay, so we have 4 recusals. We have Dr. Dreisen on the 6th bill list for Beata. We have Mr. Mayor on the bill list that contains ESS. We have Mrs. Palmer on the payments to Bancroft and Ms. Stern on the payments to Jewish Federation. Other than that, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Gallagher to move the HR agenda this evening.
Yes, the superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 15.1, termination of employment certificated; 15.2, termination of employment non-certificated; 15.3, appointments certificated; 15.4, appointments non-certificated; 15.5, leaves of absence certificated; 15.6, leaves of absence non-certificated; 15.7, assignment salary change non-certificated; 15.8, other compensation certificated. Do I have a second? Mr. Mayor, are there any questions? To which I will not be able to answer. No. Mr. Sugars, will you open the vote, please?
Board members, you may cast your votes. And we have a unanimous yes vote.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, please move the P&L agenda.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. Item 16.1, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying investigation decisions. Those were the ones which were heard on March 11th of this year. Item 16.2, abolishment of 2 policies listed, both of which are subsumed in their entirety in the food services policy 8500. Item 16.3, second reading of policy as listed and posted in the notes as discussed 2 weeks ago. And finally, 16.4, approval of the waiver of policy 2340, which is field trips, which would allow students at Rosa and Cherry Hill East to attend National 2025 History Day competition. Do I have a second? Mrs. Stern, are there any questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars, would you open the voting?
Board members, you may cast your votes. We have a unanimous yes vote.
Thank you, Ms. Sugars. There is nothing under governance yet this evening, but there will be soon. Do any board members have? Maybe, definitely. Goals will be upon us before we know it.
That's true. That's true.
Do any board members have new business to raise this evening? Do any board members have old business to raise this evening? Dr. Braddock?
Very quickly, I just wanted to thank Ms. Winters for reading the statement from last week. I apologize for not being here, but I appreciate the opportunity to be heard in my support of the budget as was proposed.
Thank you. Always happy to. Anybody else have old business they would like to raise? Going once, going twice, seeing no old business, we are going to move on to second public comment. This is the second public comment period, where you may comment on any topic. If you would like to speak now, please state your name and municipality. We will alternate between speakers here in the room and those that are online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, and the timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Public comments is an opportunity for members of the community to comment on matters relevant to the operations of the Cherry Hill Public School District or within the authority of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. The board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. Under established federal law governing reasonable restrictions on speech in public forums, statements which demean individual community members or groups or which are irrelevant to the operations of the school district or repetitious will not be permitted. Community members who would like to present information not relevant to the school district are always welcome to communicate directly to district superintendent, board president, and all board members via email or other alternative means. And as always, by custom, we start in the room. If there is anyone who would like to make a public comment, please approach the microphone.
Hi, my name is Michelle Hardery. I'm from Cherry Hill. I'm here tonight about the passing of the school budget. As many residents, as you can imagine, are not happy about paying more taxes, especially after a $360 million bond was passed last year. I'm just wondering how the school board thinks that they can continually increase taxes. And I don't want to hear about New Jersey not giving more money. I want to hear about what we can do to find ways to cut things, not that will hurt students, but there has to be another way other than continually asking for taxpayers to pay higher taxes. It's ridiculous. It's really, you're actually going to make people move because they can't afford to pay taxes here. I don't think that's right. So that's mine. And how you can just keep passing it amongst yourselves without asking the taxpayers for a vote is, I think, unfair too. So that's my opinion. I think that's a lot of people's opinion. I wish there was about 5,000 more people here. I think that there should be, but I'm here because for my house, I should not be paying more than $8,000. It's $8,500 right now. It's going to probably be $9,000 once your school board passes this tax increase. And I'm not living in a mansion. So that's really unfair. That's what I have to say. And I really think that you should have the taxpayers vote on these things. And I don't know, we have to vote on board members. I think we should think more carefully of who we're voting for. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate your comment. Thank you. Going on the line, the first person with the hand raised is a wider bridge. It's your turn. Please give us your name and municipality.
Lana Yaris, Cherry Hill, speaking on behalf as the chair of the Fair Funding Committee, a subset of Zone PTA. I just want to thank everyone who came to Trenton today to advocate for more money from the state geared towards Cherry Hill for our students. We will be having a fair funding meeting on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. It's virtual. I like to keep a quick and short meeting, and anyone in the community is invited to attend. It's on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, or you can email fairfundingchps@gmail.com for the Zoom link and information. I think it's very important for everyone to attend and speak out and learn more on what we're doing as a community so that our taxes are not continuously raised and we continue to receive help from the state and where necessary from the district. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Going back to the room, is there anyone else in the room who would like to make a public comment?
Hello, I'm Sarah Jocelyn from Cherry Hill. I wanted to make sure that the board was aware that there's going to be a change in Trenton coming in the summer. And I'm very pleased to learn that Katrina McCombs, who's been the superintendent of Camden, will have completed her 30 years service within the Camden district and will be moving to the State Department of Education. She will be responsible for preschool. She is an excellent educator, having worked in that area personally. And I do commend the program that has been done. I look at this as a caring advocate who will seek the best for every child. And so I encourage the board to be aware of this change. Carrie Booker is going somewhere else. But Katrina McCombs is coming in, and I highly, highly recommend her. So I did want to bring that to the attention of the board because, of course, we are continuing on our journey. I'm very interested in the details of the response that we get from our legislators, and that would include locally and, as you said, in the committee itself. Appreciate those that did go to Trenton today. I was not available to do so, but I have been writing, and that's an important thing too. So I encourage taxpayers to submit letters or submit phone calls or submit emails, because the voice of the people are very important. And I encourage young people to be advocates too. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Going back to the line, the next person is Laura Ann's iPad. It is your turn. Please unmute and give us your name and municipality.
It's Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I have a couple of questions that I'm hoping someone could answer this evening. I would like to know how much Spanish our elementary school students are receiving each week. I'd also like the same response for how much physical education and music that they're receiving each week. There's some confusion out here that I'd like to have the Board of Ed or Dr. Morton clarify, not just for myself, but for other members. And once again, I'm going to beg that you open Kingston School's new all-purpose room for 5th grade graduation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Going back to the room, is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Okay, going back online, the next person has a phone number ending in 788. It's your turn. Please unmute and give us your name and municipality.
My name is Jeff Potowitz, and I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. First, I know some people love preschool expansion. I'm going to tell you that that the cost of preschool expansion are going to bury our school district. Next year, when we're getting actually really about $6.9 million for aid, we will have over 1,000 kids in preschool. Over 1,000, at least according to when you spoke to the group back in January 8th. That's the number. Over 1,000 kids. That number will eventually double in 2 years as they cut preschool aid to less and as they continue to cut our aid, our SFR aid. It will be continued. The cost of that preschool has already hurt us with learning loss because that is expensive. Preschool expansion is very, very expensive. All right? But as they cut our aids, it's going to get even worse. And when we have 2,000 students in preschool, it will literally, it's going to literally bury our school district. Make no mistake, you should stop it now. As for us being cheated, we've been cheated for over 30 years. I don't know how much time I'll have, but in March 2010, in March 24, 2010, Mr. John Tremble, who was on the CHEPTA board, Chair of Special Ed, spoke in front of that Assembly Budget Committee, cheered by our own Assemblyman Louis Greenwald, who is now above that. So they have heard from people in Cherry Hill for years, just like we've been cheated for years. As someone said, the aid that we should have gotten this year, if we weren't so lucky, was $18 million. Less than we got 35 years ago, and pretty much less than we got from the beginning of SFRA. So things are not getting better. They are getting worse. They've gotten worse during the period of SFRA. Our rate only got better about 2 or 3 years ago, and now it's about to collapse again. The state knows what they're doing. They do not care. How do you make them care? I don't know. But how do you watch out for the people in Cherry Hill? You stop with that preschool, which will literally, the cost of having 2,000 kids in preschool will bury us. It's going to be over 25,000 a student. What are we going to do? We're going to have the money, and that will be the cost, because that's the cost of a student in Cherry Hill now. So the state says it's 15.8. We're not even getting that.
Thank you so much for calling in this evening and giving us your comments. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to speak? I'm sorry, man, it's one public comment per person, but if you can totally come back. The next meeting is April 8th, or if you'd like, you can always email the Board of Education. If you email the Board of Education, you will get a response. I don't see anybody else in the room. I don't see anybody else online. So I'm going to close second public comment. I'm going to go to Dr. Morton for superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Ms. Winters. Just really quickly, thank you for everyone who shared comments this evening. I think what we heard this evening is, it summarizes the frustration that we carry as well as it relates to state funding and, how that impacts our budget. We really don't want to make cuts. Any cuts that we make typically, those that are substantial at least, will involve altering or restructuring what we do. And it's a fine balance in restructuring and not impacting students in a negative manner. We believe that the budget proposal that we put forward, and the recommendations that put forward will not impact students negatively. As a matter of fact, that we believe that it will provide students with additional supports that we've long communicated as being important. But it's a really fine balance in terms of how much restructuring or reductions can be made before there are direct impacts. Again, it's important for everyone, to let the Cherry Hill story be told, advocate to our legislators, allow our voices to be heard. And our Fair Funding Committee is ultra important in these days and has been important, as we heard in a previous comment as well. Cherry Hill has been shorted for several years in terms of the funding that we are entitled to. So we want that message to continue to go forward, let that continue to be heard, and make sure everyone understands what the Cherry Hill story is. With that, I'll say have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morton. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Dr. Braddock, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. The Board of Education is adjourned. Have a great night, everyone.